A Monterrey soccer club, commonly known as Rayados or Monterrey, is a soccer club belonging to, as its name suggests, the city of Monterrey, Nuevo Leon, and currently plays in the first division of Mexican soccer. Its foundation dates back to 1945, difficult times for football in Monterrey, but over the years it would change radically and become one of the places with the greatest euphoria for this sport. Throughout its history it has won 9 national titles to second division, 2 cup, 5 first division and 6 international titles, 1 interleague, 1 CONCACAF Cup Winners' Cup and 4 CONCACAF Champions League. Foundation in the year 1945, the situation in Monterrey was totally different from what is experienced today. The Royals were faithful baseball players and this sport totally predominated in the state. So thinking about soccer teams was something strange. The initiative to found a club arose after Nuevo Leon won the Primera Fuerza Nacional Championship. The euphoria over this achievement prompted the creation of an institution that at that time was named Club de Monterrey S.ADCV. It was left in the hands of Enrique Ayala Medina, the team's first president. Nicknames from its beginnings. The team had several nicknames by which it was known, including Sultanas, Gitanos, Norteños, Nuevelenses and Rayados. Rayados was promoted by journalists from the city and at that time the current leaders took it and it became part of the institution. The team had 2 promotions in its first years and they were the only ones, since they have remained in the top circuit since then. In the 55-56 season they beat San Sebastian Laredo and with the victory they achieved promotion. However, at the end of the first season they fell back to the second division. It was in 1960 when they achieved their final promotion by beating Orizaba by a score of 3-0 on the field of the Tecnológico Stadium. From there they have been forging their history. Stadiums throughout history, the institution has had 4 homes that have housed its commitments as premises, but 2 have been the most representative, one for the experiences that arose and another for being its property. In its first season, Monterrey hosted its home games at Parque Cuauhtémoc and Fumosa, a place that was prepared to play baseball. After that campaign they withdrew from the Major League due to various problems. In the 52-53 season they arrived at the Tecnológico Stadium, in their first stage, since in 1973 they moved to the Universitario Stadium, the same building that years before 1967 they had inaugurated in a duel against Atlético de Madrid. In 1980 they returned to the Tec as the fans colloquially called it, and it was from there that a special bond was created between the building and the fan, as the titles began to be won and the memories in said stadium were marked in the blue albeit hearts. It was in 2015 when Rayados inaugurated its own stadium, as Tecnológico shared it with the Rayados of Tecnológico de Monterrey, an American football team. The BBVA Stadium started with a match between the Royal Institution and Sport Lisboa e Benfica on August 2. They achieved victory with a goal from youth player Cesar Montes, who was the first scorer in the building. First league title. Rayados made history on March 1, 1986, because on that date they won their first league title against Tampico Madero at the Tecnológico Stadium. They finished the tournament as general leaders with a balance of 13 wins, 3 draws and 2 losses. In addition, Francisco del Abuelo Cruz became the first scoring champion of the institution. The first game was adverse for the Royals, as Tampico beat them by a score of 2-1 and in the second game they needed a comeback. Already at home, Monterrey had conditions in its favor and it was in the 75th minute when Reynaldo Gifeldini tied the overall score from 11 steps and in the end, in extra time, Grandpa Cruz made it 2-0 and 3-2 overall that they would maintain and turn them into champions of Mexican soccer. The 11 players who started that commitment were Jesvis Contreras, Joel Garcia, Rito Luna, Pedro Campa, Guillermo Muñoz, Hector Gamboa, Rafael Ortega, Reynaldo Gifeldini, Hector Becerra, Francisco Javier Cruz, Mario de Sousa Motorbella. Sometime later he would obtain 4 more titles. Against Morelia in 2003. Overall score 1-3. Against Cruz Azul in 2009. Overall score 4-6. Against Santos Laguna in 2010. Overall score 5-3. Against America in 2019. Overall score 3-3 2-4. Golden Era. Rayados had already achieved 2 league titles, a cup and a CONCACAF Cup Winners' Cup. It was a constant in Mexican soccer, but they did not take another step, and it was from 2009 onwards that they revolutionized Mexican soccer. Victor Manuel Vucetich managed the club for the Clausura 2009. However, it was not until the Apertura of the same year that everything began, as they defeated Cruz Azul in an epic final key. In the first leg at the Tecnológico there was a vibrant comeback. The machine went into halftime with a resounding 3-1 lead and control of the match. But upon returning from the locker room another side of Monterrey was present, led by the Chilean Humberto Suazo. They turned around to leave the score at 4-3 and take the advantage to the Estadio Azul, where they repeated the dose and took the duel by a score of 1-2 and thus lifted their third league title. A year later they were crowned again. The Apertura 2010 culminated with the final between Rayados and Santos. Another hombrada by those led by Vucetich was written into history. The Royals had fallen in the TSM 3-2 and returned home with the mentality of repeating what they did a year ago and reversing the score. Already in the Tecnológico they won 3-0 and with an aggregate of 5-3 they became champions and they lifted their fourth league trophy. That was not all, since the coronation at the international level began to take place months later, as they achieved their first CONCACAF Champions League on April 27, 2011 against Real Salt Lake. That event was the start of a three-time championship in the competition that would leave its mark on Mexican soccer and at the confederation level. They won the other two finals against Santos Laguna. Vucetich was called King Midas for everything he had achieved with a Monterrey team, as it marked the before and after in institutional history. Several of the players who were part of this generation are men like Humberto "Chucky" Suazo, who would become the club's all-time top scorer, 121 goals, Aldo de Negros, Jose Maria Basanta, Jonathan Orozco, Walter Aovi, Neri Cardozo, Jesvis Zavala, Luis Perez, Cesar Delgado, Jesvis Orellano. In this period they also won an Interleague in 2010 against America in a penalty shootout. Royal Finals 2 events have marked the history of Monterrey football and clearly of Rayados de Monterrey, because after years in which the region's football did not take center stage, they both managed to access the Liga MX final and later the Liga de Monterrey final. CONCACAF champions. December 10, 2017 is a date that was marked in history by experiencing the first edition of these commitments. The BBVA Stadium saw its team fall 1-2 and 2-3 on aggregate, its staunch rival becoming the winner of this historic duel. On May 1, 2019, they met again, now on an international level, and it was the Rayados who now won glory and won the fourth Confederation title to also access the Club World Cup in Qatar in December of that same year. Club World Cups. After winning the three-time championship in the CONCACAF zone, Rayados had the opportunity to attend the December event 3 times. In Japan 2011 they took 5th place after losing their first match and winning the duel for that position against Espérance Sportive of Tunisia with a score of 3-2. The following year and again in Japan they performed better. They beat Ulsan Hyundai of South Korea 3-1 and qualified for the semi-final against Chelsea Football Club, where they were defeated 3-1 and sent them to compete for third place in the competition, which they achieved against the Egyptian Al Ahly. They tied the historical mark, since third place had only been achieved by Necaxa in 2000. Now in Morocco 2013 they once again took 5th place, losing to Raja Casablanca in the first round and later beating Al Ahly. 6 years later Rayados returned to this competition and gave their best performance, as they beat Al Sadd of Qatar, and in the next round they played a great role against the UEFA champion, Liverpool, falling 1-2 in the last minute of the match. They took third place after beating Al Hilal in a penalty shootout with an outstanding performance by goalkeeper Luis Carlos.